Good afternoon. My name is Ali Meehan. I'm founder of Costa Women, and I'm delighted that you've decided to join us to make it happen this afternoon. Costa Women is the largest community for women living in Spain or women heading this way. And I just want to start this Make It Happen call by thanking our sponsors for the call, Currencies Direct. Currencies Direct offer you money exchange from whatever currency to whatever currency, and they're guaranteed to save you money. So check them out at currenciesdirect.com. This afternoon, I'm delighted to have on this Make It Happen call Kathy Ennis. Kathy is an experienced entrepreneur, mentor, and trainer. Kathy has a mission to help motivate business owners transform good ideas into profitable business, and we all like profitable businesses. Whether you're starting out or ready to make it grow, Kathy is all about taking action in your business so that you can achieve the success that you deserve. Welcome, Kathy.
Hello, Ali. Lovely to see you.
Good to see you too. So the theme for these interviews, as I mentioned, is Make It Happen. How did you start your journey to make it happen for your business?
Well, I've been in business for a little over 18 years now, and I say that whereas right at the beginning I wasn't really in business.
Okay.
I started trading, let's put it that way, while I was still working full time. And I think what they call them now is something like a side gig or something. There's some kind of modern day term for it. But basically, I was really interested in something, and I saw it more as a hobby than as a business, but also a way to bring in a little bit of extra money, pin money, that kind of thing. And so I started with that, and it was okay, and it was pretty successful. And I actually had to cut down my hours at work in order to make it grow and make it happen.
Yeah. And
so that business, I just to let you know that the first business was image consultancy. I went off and I trained as an image consultant, and that was really quite successful. In my eyes at that particular point in time. And over the time of operating that business, it morphed a little bit into dealing with people who were looking more at personal branding. So the idea of, showing your authentic self and those kinds of things. And it moved quite a lot from working one-to-one with people to working in with groups in, say, corporate situations and those sorts of things. So things were going pretty well. There was always money in my bank account, and I was very happy. And when I was offered redundancy, I took the bull by the horns and said, yes, thank you very much. I will definitely take that. And it was lovely because they gave me a lot of money to go away. And I sat with that for quite some time and continued doing what I was doing. And then it got really to the point where the redundancy money was almost gone.
Right.
And I realized that balance that we need wasn't actually there, because there was more money going out than was coming in. And what I realized was, I'll be honest, I'd been a bit cocky because I'd had enough money, but because I didn't really know business, I'd never had anybody around me who'd ever run their own business. At that time, there weren't, in the UK, the support mechanisms that you've got as a startup entrepreneur. There weren't places you could go to get help, support and advice. You're basically on your own. I realised that if I didn't pull my socks up and actually start to understand what business meant and the things that I needed to do, I'd be in a really sticky situation. So that's what I did. I went through a really sticky time where, but to be quite honest, if my husband hadn't been working full time and we didn't have a standard salary coming through, I would have had to have gone back to work because there just was not enough money coming in. But through actually making the changes that I needed to make, understanding what I should be doing in terms of my own marketing and in terms of the things I should be paying for or not paying for in my business, the kinds of customers I should be looking for, all of those very, very basic things, all working towards making sure that more came in than went out. That's what I really, really, really worked on. So that's how it all started.
Okay.
And then it morphed into something slightly different after that. I don't know if you want me to tell you what actually happened in that point.
Well, yeah, because you've got a brand now called Little Piggy. So how did you
Yeah.
come up with that amazing name? And what does it actually stand for, and what's behind the Little Piggy brand?
Well, going back to saying what I was doing in terms of working in organisations around personal branding, one of the things that started to happen with the business was that people wanted me to help them with the same concept but branding their business. So, you know, if I'm branding myself and I'm a business owner, how do I then fit into the brand of my organisation? That kind of thing. The whole time I'd been doing what I was doing and learning this stuff about what business is, etc., I'd been developing my own marketing skills, and things had got better. And as a massive networker, one of the things that had started to happen was that people were asking me to meet them for coffee. And during the coffee meeting, it would be, well, I've got this problem. Can you help me solve it? So of course, yeah, I'd sit there. That's what we do when we network. Is how can I help you? And somebody, actually my own mentor, said to me, well, why aren't you charging people? And I hadn't even thought about that as a way to make money or to have a business. So what happened was that it transformed more into working one-to-one with people on their businesses. And when I'd started doing the image and then it changed into the personal branding, etc., I'd always traded under my own name. And what I found is that as my business changed, the model changed, the offer changed, that somehow or another the two things didn't sit together as well as they should. And I was in the shower one day because I was thinking, you know, I need to review my website. It needs a bit of an upgrade. I'm not so happy now with what the business is called. The branding I've got is not working for me at the moment. And so I was having a shower and I thought to myself, what is it that I actually do? And the thing that I thought of, well, I get businesses off to market. And the nursery rhyme came into my head.
Okay.
So this little piggy went to market, this little piggy stayed at home. And then I started thinking about the lines in that nursery rhyme because, you know, it is about getting people off to market. This little piggy stayed at home. I work a lot with people who work from home. They've got, you know, your traditional one-person business, bedroom business, if you want to call it that. This little piggy had roast beef is about businesses that are successful, so they've got enough money to buy the good things in life. This little piggy had none is in fact a lot of the businesses that I work with, because they've got businesses but they're not really making any money and they're doing all of the things they think they should be doing, but it's not having any success. And then the piggy that went wee 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 all the way home is the one that's got everything right, it's working fine, and you know they're in seventh heaven. So that's why I call my company Little Piggy, because it's about getting people off to market. So long way round explanation.
Yeah, no, I love that analogy, and get it now. I've always wondered why that it had that name, so that's amazing. And don't you just love those shower moments when suddenly you get an idea in the shower?
I've got a friend who actually, you can buy these things because scuba divers use them.
Okay.
You can get pads and pens that work underwater. And she actually has one in her shower because she gets so many good ideas in the shower. So she just writes them down while she's there. And I think that's great.
Yeah, it is. Wow. That's a really good idea. Yeah. So you've had a few hiccups along the way and you've learned from your big challenges. What would you say has been your biggest learning that you would pass on to other people that are wanting to do something with a hobby business, or they've got a passion for something that they want to create into a business? What would you say your biggest top tip would be?
the missing link between passion and profit is planning.
Okay.
And my clients will know this because I say it to them all of the time, that you can be as passionate as you want about your business. You love your business. Nobody else does. Your job is to make other people love it. And they aren't going to do that if you don't go at things in a logical, process-driven way. Now, I work a lot with creatives. As I said, I work a lot with people that are one-person operations, and planning is often seen as I'll do it if I've got time. The problem is you never do have time.
Yeah.
And if you don't make the time for it, you're going to flounder. You're going to be in exactly the same place next year as you are this year. And if you really, really, really don't take control of the numbers in your business, understanding things such as what the average value of a customer is to you, how much your average customer brings you in terms of turnover, what you can then do with those numbers in order to grow your business, so how you can reinvest some of that money back into your business. I'll take marketing as a classic example. A lot of small and micro businesses, they don't do any cash flow forecasting. They don't do any budgeting, which means often they won't have any either physical or mental idea of how much their marketing is going to cost them for a year. So therefore, when it comes to people talking to them about how much certain things are going to cost, they don't see the costs as coming out of the business. They see the costs as coming out of their pocket.
Right.
And which means that they tend not to invest that money in the business. So it means then that the business doesn't benefit from the things that paying that money will bring. So there's lots of really subtle waves going in very small and micro businesses. And I think for me, those were the biggest learnings. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to either throw loads of money at stuff, which I could when I was working full time because I had a salary coming in, or I didn't want to spend any money on anything.
Yeah.
And actually both things are as bad as each other in some circumstances. So the main thing is to sit down and plan out your business. How many of these do you want in a year? How much of that do you want in a year? And if that's the case, how much is that going to cost? And being realistic about the numbers. So yeah. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, no, good advice. One of our ladies here, Jo Bendel, she posted on Facebook the other day, if you don't have time to write down your goals, how are you ever going to get time to achieve them? And that's so true.
Absolutely. It's the the number of times people have said, yes, but it's all in here. And I'm sorry, but it isn't, because what you're having for dinner gets in there as well. And, whether the kids have got to get new shoes gets in there as well, or all of those other things are in there. And if it's all in that mishmash melting pot, it just gets a little bit lost. So no, nice big whiteboard in front of where you work with those things in front of you. That's the thing that you actually need. Get it out on a piece of paper.
Yeah, great. Good. We do love paper. So you were honoured to be included in Facebook's She Means Business initiative. So how did you get involved with that, and what did it mean for you personally as well as for your tribe of followers?
I think that the way I got involved was luck, I suppose. I'm a member of an organisation called Enterprise Nation, a UK-based organisation, which does masses of great work for small and micro businesses. And they have very good relationships with lots of other organisations, Facebook being one of them. And I've been lucky over the last few years to have done some work for Enterprise Nation, speaking at their events and various other bits and pieces like that. So back in 2017, at the beginning of 2017, when Facebook contacted Enterprise Nation to say, we'd like you to be our partner in the UK to push this program forward. I was one of the people that Enterprise Nation contacted, because I suppose they saw me as a safe pair of hands. They knew what I could do, those kinds of things. So I was one of the people that was contacted and asked whether I would be willing to be part of this program, and yeah, jumped at it with open arms, most definitely. So in 2017 we had 8 people who were taken over to Dublin, to Facebook, to go through the training that we needed to go through in order to deliver the program. And it was a program that was delivered in lots of different ways. So face-to-face in group work. We did lots of things like meetups and semi-formalized networking events. We did quite a lot of stuff online and things like that too. And we'd been given a target of 10,000 women. And I think, if I'm getting my numbers right, by the end of 2017, we'd actually got to about 13,000
Wow.
women.
Amazing.
So this year they've upped the number of people that are delivering. We've got 20 people now, and they're from all over the UK, because that was the other thing, is because there are only 8 of us, we were quite, our reach wasn't as massive as it could be. But now we've got people all over, you know, up in Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales, you know, up into Yorkshire and Northwest, those kinds of things. So and it's a very, very similar process again this year. So yeah, and you know, as I said, it's an initiative that's being run in conjunction with Enterprise Nation here in the UK. But if anybody in Spain is interested, there is a website, the She Means Business website.
Okay.
And on that website there are lots of like self-help training videos and resources, so you can just log in and use those. So if you want to know best practice about using your Facebook page, or you know, some great ideas for using it as a marketing resource, or anything to do with Facebook advertising, those kinds of things, there's resources on there people can access.
Okay, great. And we'll actually put it down below here when I edit the video, so people can find the link.
Excellent.
So what would you say difference it made for you personally and for your tribe of followers?
Well, I think in terms of, for me, I'm going to hold my hands up here, it sort of turned me into a Facebook convert.
Okay.
But still with a pinch of salt, because I was never a massive fan of Facebook. I had a personal profile on Facebook that I very rarely used, because I just found it a bit too invasive. And I recognised Facebook as a tool for business, but didn't necessarily see it as a tool for my business. And I think that's the difference that it made to me, is I can still look at it and I can still critique it and think, you know, this bit I find useful, but that bit I don't at all. I can still do that, but I do give it a lot more credence and credibility now, particularly now with obviously Facebook owns Instagram,
yeah,
and Facebook owns WhatsApp as well. So we've got a nice set of tools there that you can use. And I think the key thing it's been for me, and the kinds of people that I work with as well, is getting them to understand or realize which of Facebook's products is best for them and their business. So some of them, yes, it will be Facebook itself. Others, you know, let's just go and start using Instagram because that's going to be better for you. So it's given me a lot more knowledge about what Facebook can do.
Yeah, great. And I was delighted to meet you in person and press the flesh, as it were, when you rocked our marketing and social media talk at the International Women's Day conference earlier this year. So what did you actually get out of the day for you, Kathy Ennis?
I think that the interesting thing for me, apart from, and this is a bit of an aside, is that I met the most wonderful woman called Eunice O'Rourke, who, through lots of different circumnavigation, happens to be the sister of one of the guys that used to work with my husband.
Oh, wow.
Which is bizarre. And it was, you know, Gareth contacting my husband saying, "What's your wife doing with my sister?" So, you know, that small world, or what
Yeah.
And I think probably for me, that's a lot that I got out of coming to the conference. I thought it was a great event. It was a brilliant celebration. I was really interested in the information that came through about Spain and women's businesses in Spain, and the attitude to women running their own businesses in Spain. That really fascinated me. But I also, it was really interesting to find that the challenges that people are facing in Spain in terms of starting a business, growing a business, being part of their business, is basically the same as it is here in the UK. And that what we really need to do, I suppose, as females, is this idea of self-support and having a network of people that we can turn to for that help, support and advice. So yeah, it doesn't, I suppose for me, it doesn't matter which bit of geography you end up standing on. There may well be some slightly local issues, but the bigger ones, they're all exactly the same. Yeah. So that was fascinating.
So moving on from there then to Me Inc., which fits quite well with that. So what does it mean for you and the challenges you see, particularly for women with Me Inc.?
It's funny because the thing that got me to move from image consultancy into personal branding was Tom Peters. And Tom Peters is the person that basically created that phrase. And he wrote an article way back when about the fact that we're all now the CEO of Me Incorporated, whether we're in employment or whether we're running our own business. And that, plus a couple of other things, set the underlying aspect of my personal branding business, but also I've carried those principles through into my current business. And I think the biggest thing for me is this whole concept of authenticity and brand values. And when I work with micro businesses, small businesses, on getting them to understand what they're about, one of the first things we do is we work on a brand values exercise, and I then get them to use that to push forward the brand development of their own business, because I find that sometimes people are attempting to be one thing in their business and something else in their personal life. And the problem with that is that we can't split ourselves in half. We are just one person, and we've got to make sure that both sides of us are as authentic as possible. So so that's really that's really that. And I think if I look at it in terms of women, when I do the brand values exercise, one of the main points I do is I get people to involve others in the creation of their brand values. So I get them to do a 360-degree view of themselves. And so I get them to ask friends, colleagues, people they manage, everybody around them to tell them, if they had to describe them in 5 words or phrases, what would those words or phrases be? And the interesting thing I find with the women that I get to do this is that when they do the exercise themselves, from how they would describe themselves, is how little credit they give themselves. And then when they get the things from people around them, and people start feeding in these terms, they don't always recognize them. And sometimes it's a bit of a struggle to get them to accept them as real. So I think really for me, one of the things as women we've got to do is we've got to acknowledge that we are probably better, stronger, more able than we often give ourselves credit for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's it.
Yeah, good. So we're going to do a very quick fire round now.
Yeah.
ask you 5 quick questions.
Yep.
Business book you're currently reading or favourite business book, and number 1 thing you've learnt.
Right. I'm going to hold my hands up here and say I'm not a brilliant book reader. These days, it's more on the fly, and I'm more of a blog reader. So I read blogs from Forbes. They have a great blog. Inc. Social Media Examiner. I love the stuff that, if people haven't come across it, that Amy Porterfield does. I've bought some books here. These are my most inspirational books.
Okay.
Blink was the one that got me onto the whole thing about first impressions. If people haven't read that by Malcolm Gladwell, they should. Outliers, which is the book about, you know, how if you practice, you're going to get better. So don't put it off. And this little gem from Robert Craven, which is a bit old now, but it talks to you about how, you know, if you're a business that doesn't produce something except, say, intellectual property, is how you can actually make your business grow. And I think this Robert Craven one is a main learning, because I know from talking to Robert that he wrote this while he was on a skiing holiday, but he broke his leg on the first day.
Wow.
So he sat in the room while everybody else was out skiing, and he put this together. And the reason I love this book is that it's got lots of white space, and it's got lots of bullet points, and it's very much a how-to book, and it's the kind of book that, as you know, people who may not be the best writers in the world, it's the kind of thing that we can actually create ourselves really easily. So, you know, let this be an example to people.
Yeah, no, great tips. And there's the second time over the summer someone's recommended Outliner to me, so I think I better read it.
Oh, it's Malcolm Gladwell. If you haven't read anything by him, I recommend him. He is a brilliant storyteller, and he just makes facts come to life. And yeah, definitely read it.
Yeah. Best piece of advice you've ever been given?
In business, rejection is not personal. Just because people say no to something you're offering them doesn't mean that they don't like you. They're just saying no to whatever the offer is, and that often no is a maybe anyway. So so rejection isn't personal. We're Marmite. Some people love us, some people hate us.
Okay, good piece of advice there. And I'm waving my Make It Happen magic wand, so you get 1 wish for your business. What are you daydreaming about?
Well, because I'm knee deep in it at the moment, I'm really hoping to pull my Facebook group further forward. I run a Facebook group called the JFDI Club. The JDI stands for Just Do It. I'll leave it to your imagination as to what it stands for. And we're just about to launch into the group a 4-week program for creating a marketing campaign that people can launch in September. So yeah, full forward with that one.
Great. Yeah. And can I share that group in this?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let you have the link, and I'll give you that to you, definitely.
Great, thank you. And you talked about having coffee business dates. So when was the last time you had one and were able to help somebody with their business?
Well, I think it was an interesting one, because it was after a training session that I had run, and it wasn't just with one person, it was with 2 or 3 people that had been on the training, and we just went and had a drink afterwards. And what it was around their websites, to be honest. And I think that what all 3 of them had was a really, really good looking website. You know, they looked the business, but actually the way the content had been put together, it wasn't doing it for them. So really important bits of information were in the wrong part of the website. They weren't front and center. And I think there'd been a little bit of design over content. So I just sat there and we worked on how they should restructure their website to make it a little bit more appealing and attractive to their customers.
Yeah, no, I think it's always good to get advice about any sort of flyer, promotion, website, because what you see and what everybody else sees are normally completely different things. So,
well, the main thing was that what they had didn't work effectively on a mobile device, and they were responsive, but the way the responsiveness had been built, it meant that when people went onto their websites, all they saw was a pretty picture. They didn't see any content at all that would encourage them to go further into the website. So that kind of thing was really quite crucial.
Yeah, it is, because so many people nowadays are just using the mobile phone. They don't even have a computer anymore. So
I've just bought myself a new phone, a big one. And so I'm using that massively. So so it's taken the place of a desktop device, definitely.
Yeah. And what next for Kathy? What are you doing over the summer? Are you, apart from launching this group, or the new part of the group?
Well, for me, it's thinking about moving home.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we're looking to move to Norfolk. So next week we're spending a week up there to go there, not as tourists, but with an eye to seeing it as somewhere to live. So for me, the big thing is moving, but also managing it so that the business comes with me.
Right.
Because I don't want to end up in a place where nobody knows me. So I have to start thinking about my own marketing of my business and how I get messages into that part of the UK.
Yeah.
So that when I arrive there, I'm not a totally unknown quantity.
Yeah. That's particularly crucial for women that are moving to Spain, because quite often it's the last thing that they actually think about is what's going to happen when I move there, because they're too busy thinking about other stuff. So that's a really important thing to think about.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Kathy. How can we connect with you and find out more about marketing for our businesses?
Well, as I say, I'll let you have the link to the JFDI Club. So people, it is a paid for group, but people can have a 1 month free trial. So if they come in now, they'll be able to work their way through that August campaigning thing. So that would be a really good time for them. Otherwise, they can come to my website, which is quite simple. It's littlepiggy.ltd. Okay. They can email me. And my email is simple. It's Kathy with a K at littlepiggy.ltd, or come along to my Facebook page, which is, the normal Facebook front end bit, with Little Piggy UK. So those are the easiest ways to get in contact. And I'd love to hear from people. It'd be really, really nice to hear from folk. And hopefully I'll be seeing everybody next year at the conference.
Yeah,
so that would be great.
Yeah, it'd be great to have you back again. And actually, I'd like to recommend this book that Kathy wrote. Up on my desk.
Thank you.
Which is really good because it helps you schedule in your social media throughout the whole year. And it's a great resource book. So have a look on Amazon because they're still available there.
Thank you very much.
It doesn't matter what time of year you start it either, because it's not.
No, that's the good thing. I wrote it so that people could sort of dive in at any time.
Yeah. Good. Well, thank you, Kathy, and look forward to seeing you properly in March.
Thank you, Ali. Lovely to see you again.
Okay, bye.
Bye.